in terms of managing the changing world of sales, we've talked quite a bit about the trusted advisor, solution selling, and how important developing trust is in that equation. There is a trust equation. Can you talk us through it?
Well, yes. First of all, I think two things have changed. Until a few years ago, most people would have said trust is random, you can't accelerate it, it's just happens or doesn't happen. That thinking has changed, and it's changed with some really, really good writers who've been thinking and writing about this. People like Meister and Green, and we'll come back to the trust equation. People like the extraordinary Rachel Botsman, who looks at how trust has changed. And then people like Stephen M. R. Covey, who's talked about how you can accelerate trust. So there's some really good stuff going on out there. You mentioned the trust equation. It comes from Meister and Green. I find it really helpful. Their argument is that you can quantify how trust is built. And it's built out of a mixture of credibility, reliability, and intimacy. So we should be looking all the time to say, how do I come across as more credible? It's who I know, it's what I know, it's how I communicate. Reliability, do I do what I say I do, and do the team around me do what they say they'll do, under promise, over deliver. And then intimacy, which is interesting in a remote context, is in how do we get close to people and develop that relationship, which is so important. Now, their argument on the equation is that all those are multipliers. Do those and trust grows. But it's divided by what they call self-orientation. So you may in the past have been sold to really well by somebody in a shop. They're credible, they know the subject, they're reliable, they do things well, they're intimate, maybe they're a little bit over intimate, come across a bit cheesy. But the sense you have is the only reason they're selling to you is they want to make their commission, they want to make their target. And so you don't trust them. Whereas somebody else in a different shop could be equally credible, reliable, and have that intimacy, but they come across as thinking of you first, they're less money driven. So we need to build credibility, reliability, and intimacy and reduce self-orientation. So I think that that trust equation is a really, really important one. Some of the stuff that Stephen M. R. Covey's written is great. He talks about accelerating trust. You can't fake it, but he talks about signaling earlier. So if we're going to do something, we say we're going to do it. He talks about declaring intent early and then doing it and then saying, look, I said I was going to do that and look, I've done it. It's quite scary stuff to do, but really, really important. So trust is a biggie. You can't fake it, but you can manage it.
And relationship building underpins most of the insurance industry, and that's how most insurance brokers develop their sales is through relationship building, and you can't do it effectively if trust isn't imperative to everything you do.
Yes, absolutely. I think the insurance sector is not alone in that, but if it applies anywhere, it applies in the insurance sector, because you're not just selling an intangible product, you're selling an intangible future good that I probably don't want to buy in the first place. So if I don't trust you, well, I'd rather not need to buy insurance at all. I hope
Absolutely.
claim. I want to know that you and your provider will be around should I need you. So trust is absolutely fundamental.